Welcome to the Slow Smoked Pigskin podcast. I'm Darren.
And I mean Drew. And this is
our podcast.
What are you doing? You're not Aaron.
You're not Drew.
I think we should go.
That was weird, right?
Yeah, it was.
Anyways, I'm Aaron.
I'm Drew.
And this is our podcast.
Subscribe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 45 of the Slow Smoke Pigskin podcast. Been a couple weeks, but our season is officially over. It's always fun to get a result, but at the same time, it's super sad for it to be over. Football season always goes so fast, and then, the time in between seasons feels like it takes 6 years, and then the regular season, aka fantasy season, is 3 weeks long. But
getting up to it, and it starts in the first couple of weeks. You're getting it, and all of a sudden it's playoffs, and you're out of it, and I suck. But
so overall, how'd you do this year? In all of my leagues, I made it to, if you count the one I helped Skylar with, I made it to 4 championships and won 1. I was like, really?
Charlie and I made it to the championship and won.
Against Skylar.
That's all. That's it.
Yeah.
I missed the playoffs on the last regular season game.
Yeah.
On two of the leagues. I think that the Yahoo League, I made the playoffs and lost the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Admittedly, did not pay enough attention. Don't remember.
Not really either, but yeah. We had another league that I would have won the championship had I made the playoffs, and I made a good run at it. And my last regular season, I just missed out on by less than 2 points, I think. And then I went out and almost scored over 180 points in every week and would have won, and didn't. So it doesn't really matter. But
so to our league that we're talking about here, congrats, Steve, you did it. 4 years turnaround from 21 IDPs to a champion. Steve happened to come through town yesterday as a huge surprise to me. He texted me the night before. Had no idea he was coming to this state, but was chatting with him about it, and he was like, even he's admitting, who the hell knew that Saquon and Derrick Henry were going to be, basically number 1 and number 2. Well, they're pretty confident that they were running back and run.
1 of 3, I think.
Might have snuck in there.
Yeah, Cook maybe was up there.
He had a lot of touchdowns. But
yeah, I don't know exactly what they ended up, but they were going to be top 10. But when you get top 4, 2 of the top 4, that's for running back. That's fantastic. And the rest of his team obviously performed, but he didn't have very many injuries. He was the team that just didn't get bit by the injury. He didn't have too many down weeks.
Technically, he did. He had Pacheco, who he lost for a good chunk of the season, but he had enough depth that didn't
compared
hurt
to someone like Joe's team, who his entire bench was out or IR.
It was pretty bad at the
2 of my top 2, I had I don't know, remember Ayuk and somebody else on the IR.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, on the IR for pretty much the whole season. Yep. You had a couple of players on IR. Everybody got hurt at some point in time, but he just had that team that you just saw kind of stay together, and he got it.
I had a team full of, a bunch of the players who underperformed.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson actually, I think, ended up as wide receiver 2, which was a surprise.
He did, and the last 6 games of the season, he went off, but it was tough going to begin with.
Yeah, it was tough going. Tyreek was a huge bust. CD had a good stretch, but he had some issues. Right. Joe Mixon had a good stretch and then fell off the face of the earth at the end of the season. Brees Hall finished as an RB2, which would be decent if he wasn't expected to be a top 3 or 5 running back. So, yeah, just had disappointment after disappointment. But it is what it is. So, let's talk about...
It is funny, though, how you have the opposite of... You have Steve, who performed well, and you have Josh, who performed well, but I was looking at the points against, and didn't have... He won, he got there because he didn't have any points against him each week in and week out, so...
But at the same time, I mean, he finished the regular season 500, right? So he at least won enough and won some against the median and that's why I say, and it's not even just, I mean, fantasy football or real life football. You just got to make the tournament, baby.
Just make it.
Yeah. So first matchup, our championship match, Steve put up 175. Josh put up 131, basically. We already said, congrats, Steve. Josh, hey, you were not happy with your team that you took over. You wish you drafted it. Be happy you took home second place in your first season and not too much. So here's baby. You know the funny thing about it, though, is he didn't win a single week. Did not win. Like, he didn't have top points for a single week.
Oh, right. No, he didn't, because he didn't score. He didn't put up a lot of. He put up about 1,600 points, and he gave against was about 1,600 points change after that. I don't know exactly the number, but I was looking it up earlier. Like, he didn't win
single week, but won second place in the league. Hey, you know what? Good for you, man.
Yeah.
The third place matchup was me versus Jason Freeman. I won 123 to 119. I did not deserve it. I'll take it. Did not deserve it. He left, I think it was Chuba Hubbard in his lineup, who was on IR. So not only did he lose himself the match by doing that, he also gave himself a penalty for the final week by doing so. Like I said, I'll take it, but I didn't earn it. I shouldn't. My team did not show up the final week, is what it is.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to see if he could have what the pick when it comes to draft time. If there's what the pick difference is going to be of who gets what. I know it's just third and fourth, but if there's if that third pick performs next year or whoever it is,
the 10 versus 9 versus 10. Yeah. Never know. Our matchup to determine 5th and 6th place confused me here for a second. Because Janelle put up 186 versus Adrian's 144, but that was actually the previous week.
Yes,
right.
They didn't play. They did not play.
Right, they didn't play in week 17.
17, right?
Because I was confused because Janelle had more points than Steve, but Steve actually won the weekly prize also in the final week, which was Janelle's team. Actually, when I added them up. So Steve put up 175.04. Janelle put up like 173 point something.
Oh. But is there I thought we got rid of the week 18.
We got rid of the week 18, but that was week 17.
Oh, week 17. Right.
Yeah. So Janelle almost won, but Steve pulled out another weekly win just to add another $20 on top of it. By the way, everybody who's winners, you've received your money. I sent it to you. Don't try and claim. I got the receipts. But that is that does mean you can start sending me money for next season if you want. Yes. I think I usually make it due by February or March. I can't remember.
Just pay it up. Like, you're going to pay it up then anyways. Like, make it easy on the commish.
Oh, dude, there's only one person who's ever given me a hard time with it, and he's no longer in the league because of it. So, yeah.
That's the penalty.
Yeah. So that was our championship bracket. On the other side of our toilet bowl, Eddie, taking it 2 years in a row.
Pete and repeat were on a boat. Pete fell off. Who was left? Eddie.
So Eddie told me that he was actually going to try and set a winning lineup.
He did try to set a winning lineup.
But the team did not show up at all. He got stomped by Joe, 156 to 81. So Joe avoided having to go get the trophy back from Eddie.
Right.
But
Eddie has the trophy for the year, though. That's confirmed.
Eddie has the trophy for the year. He paid his penalty for being the toilet bowl champ. But he did also tell me this was the last one. He's going from rebuild. He's ready to start moving forward. So,
roughly 4 years till he wins a championship.
Honestly, he's got a bunch of young talent. He left Brian Thomas on his taxi squad until like the last week of the season or something.
No, we'll get into it. We'll get into it in a little bit, but like the dynasty rankings, like he's not last.
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
I'm just joking that you go from worst to in 4. It takes about 4 years.
Yeah.
According to Steve.
Oh, yeah, according to Steve, that's true. I'm doing 3-2-1, 3-2-1. I think is apparently the pattern I'm going to follow. Because I went 3-2-1 and now I'm back to 3 for this season. I'm like, oh crap. Hopefully I'm not doing 3-2-1, 3-2-1 because losing the championship.
Isn't that money every year though?
That's valid. That's a good point. All right.
I mean, we play to win championships, but if you're not going to win the championship, you might as well get money back.
Play for free. The game. Yeah. All right. Next matchup. Drew lost to Jason Smith to get the third pick instead of fourth pick. Hey, at that point, it's a good thing. You're getting a better pick.
I am. I mean, I'm not. I don't like to lose regardless of what we're doing. Like, I don't care. We played Top Golf, and I didn't want to lose. Like,
look at the NFL, dude. I mean, this week was crazy. I'm getting sidetracked for a second. Like, the Patriots won when losing would have given them the first pick of the draft. The Falcons lost a game that they needed to win to make the playoffs. Who else? There was a couple other ones that were just like...
Tennessee was the only team that did anything worthwhile, and that was lose to get the first pick.
Yeah. Well, I guess... is that the end of the Will Levis era?
I don't know.
I mean...
Probably. It should be, but...
Honestly, I almost think they'd be better off trading the pick. I know they need a quarterback, but...
There's no good quarter. They're not going to get a quarterback that's in this draft. I mean,
what's that kid from? Was it Florida State or something like that? Cam Ward, or where is he from?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Ward. I don't know. Milton out of Alabama is good. I don't know if what year he is. If he's going to be in the draft, he should be by now. But
I haven't started doing my college player
There's like
yet.
3 or 4 quality quarterback. I just don't know if any of them are Bo Nix that's going to make that's going to do anything for your team this year. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not spend it? What?
Wherever Shador goes, he's just going to light up the league.
All right.
Kidding.
Because you're going to get Deion Sanders as your coach.
Yeah.
He's going to go to the Raiders, and Deion's going to be the coach of the Raiders.
I heard there was talks of him going to New York.
The Giants?
That's what I heard. Giants. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That makes sense because the Giants just make terrible decision after terrible decision after terrible decision. So, yes, that fits right in.
I can't believe that they said they're not firing the GM. I don't know how you let the guy stay who got rid of Saquon and kept Daniel Jones and then released Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
That's tough. Anyway, so that was 9 and 10, and then our 6-7 matchup, our 7-8 matchup. Neil won 141 to Raf's 129, so Raf gets a better pick. So our draft order is set. The league is renewed. You should be able to see it. You can start picking up players. Remember, it does start to take money out of your fab budget for next season, unless we change that when we have our league meeting in a couple of months, which I'll schedule. Honestly, I kind of like the idea of having an off-season fab budget and an in-season fab budget instead of...
I just feel like it's all the same season. Like,
I'm just saying, like...
You don't have to use fab to get the player, but if it's a quality player, you should have to use fab. And then no one uses their fab during the season. I even tried to use all of my fab.
Yeah.
I went ridiculous on some of the things because it was like I always end up with fab.
You want to
You
talk
went ridiculous on some fab.
I spent $56 on Raheem. I don't even remember his first name.
But like that's what I'm saying.
Blackshear.
Like that was the last time you were going to use fab, so you might as well use whatever you've got left. But it's like had you not done that, you would have had that fab left over. So
yeah, that's true.
$100 for the year in fab. Like I don't know. I don't see a reason to get more. Right. Basically, that's what you're saying. Like let's up it to 200 fab and have it for the year, including off season or whatever it is. But I don't know.
Fair. All right.
I don't think people pay attention. That's what it comes down to.
So that was our matchup. So, like I said, draft order set. You should be able to see it in Sleeper in case you want to go look. Why don't you tell me what you did here on this next?
Okay, so at the beginning of our season, just before week 1, we went through and we used Dynasty Nerds as our ranking system. We went overall, quarterback, running back, and we went through the whole thing. So what I did is I just took it and saw what we did as overall at the start of the season and how it looks like when we finish the season. And there's 2 ways of doing it. There's Contender and there's Dynasty. Contender is basically for the next year or for this year at this point in time. Dynasty is over the course of the dynasty, like longevity. So at the start of this season, the rank for Contender, meaning for the year, went as follows. Aaron, Steve, Janelle, Adrian, Joe, Jason Smith, Neil, Jason F, Josh, Drew, Raph, Eddie. Which is kind of ironic because
it was at 9.
It didn't come out that way.
No, came out
not even close.
No.
Right?
Well,
I mean, close. There's a few.
There's a couple of them that were
top 3 were interchangeable. Adrian was kind of floating in between there all season long. Josh jumped way up. Jason jumped way up. Jason
Freeman jumped way up.
Jason Smith fell. Like again, you can tell who had the injuries, who had who got the injury bug, and who started with the poor team and ended with the poor team. Like that was his goal the whole time. Sorry, Eddie. Raph and myself kind of moved up and moved down as the season went, depending on what was going on. But as of today, the rankings for the year was Steve 1, Aaron 2, and this is based off of a point system that I haven't figured out how Dynasty Nerds does it, but they do a point system for your players. And it's not very consistent with a lot of other things, but I do like the way that they do it.
I know.
Say that again?
They do their own rankings.
Correct.
Their own they call it their nerd score.
Right. And it's a point system, and it's 10,000 points for your best. Like Saquon would be like 10,000 points, and somebody else would be like 0 points whatever it is. So Steve, Aaron, Janelle are top 3. Adrian, Jason Freeman, myself at 6. Josh at 7, Neil, Raph, and Joe, and then Eddie and Jason Smith are 11 and 12. So
let's talk about the ones that moved, right? Steve and I flip-flopped the 1 and 2. Janelle and Adrian both matched 3 and 4 both times. Jason Freeman jumped from 8 to 5. Joe dropped from 5 to 10. So that's rough.
Injury bug, 100%. I looked at his team a couple of times and he mentioned it, but yeah.
Yep. Drew, you jumped from 10 to 6. Josh jumped from 9 to 7, but it doesn't matter what the ranking was. It's not where he finished. Right. But Jason Smith going from 6 to 12. That's ouch.
He sold off some players on a couple of trades.
I got Josh Allen off him, which was a big deal. But then he held on to CMC, which crushed him, and then he got CMC's backup in a trade from me.
Crushed him.
And then that also fell off. So, I mean,
it's not that he has a poor team. It's just that he sold off some of his assets for picks
to try and win. Yeah.
Right, to try to get better in the draft. And, if CMC is back and he's got his backup still, like, maybe, like, they're good. The Niners are going to be good. Like, they're not going to, CMC.
The Niners are still going to have some good offense. They're going to have a huge shift because I'd be shocked if Debo comes back. With the cap hit and the young receivers that they have.
And then they paid Ayuk.
They paid Ayuk. He'll be back at some point. Pearsall looked good. Right. Jennings looked good. Like, it doesn't make sense to pay Debo.
Kittle's going to be there. Purdy will be there.
I was going to say, they have to pay Purdy now, so they need to find that money somewhere.
Right.
And Debo...
And I don't necessarily agree with paying Purdy because he's good, but he's not... I don't know if he's going to win Super Bowls for them.
Well, but even if you don't pay Purdy top of the market money, right?
Right.
Like, let's say he goes and gets a Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones got $40 million a year. Right. They paid Brock Purdy like $1 million this year. So
someone's going to pay Purdy, whether it's the Niners or not.
I'll be shocked if Purdy doesn't get at least $40 million.
He deserves
and I think it'll be higher than that.
I think that the whole showed when he didn't have CMC there as his crutch.
Honestly,
and he didn't have his wide receiver core that the team didn't meld well, and he couldn't. It's not like when you have Josh Allen or you have Aaron Rodgers, not Aaron Rodgers now, Aaron Rodgers previous, where it's like, oh, you can throw anybody in there and he's just going to feed him the ball. Like, no, Purdy needs his core group of guys, and otherwise,
when he was missing some of them, he was running more though and doing some other good things. I think he'll be a good quarterback. Like I said, I think he'll probably be in the 40 to 50 million range. Would be my guess. So, all right, so that's our contenders. So, what happened with Dynasty?
For Dynasty, process? So for the longevity of it, Aaron. At the start of the season, it was Aaron, Janelle, Steve, Joe, Neil, Drew, Jason Freeman, Adrian, Eddie, Raph, Jason Smith, and Josh. Okay? So, at the end of the season, the top three stayed exactly the same. Aaron, Janelle, Steve. I moved
Janelle's? Sorry, just have to throw out there. Janelle's young wide receiver core of Chase, Puka, and Neighbors? Oh, that's scary.
Yes, and take Chase out of the situation. Puka and Neighbors, that is ridiculous.
And then you throw Chase, who's number one.
Right. Young, because Chase isn't as young as them, but they're the young ones coming up.
Well, yeah, Chase is...
He's older compared to those two. Not that he's old.
No, he's about to get paid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very clear that he was the offense for that team.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
All right, sorry. So the top three still the same?
Janelle's and she won't trade with me, which really sucks.
Well, you shouldn't have traded with her, and
I didn't. I didn't.
Yes, you did.
All right. All right, so I moved up to 4. Neil stayed the same as 5. Adrian at 6. Jason Freeman. Eddie is 8. Joe, Raph, Josh, and Jason Smith.
I mean, Josh and Jason Smith have a lot of expiring assets, unfortunately. And Joe's got a few as well, which is why he dropped from 4 to 9. I mean, I can't remember. I know he's got Alvin Kamara. I can't remember who else, but it's always a tough balance. Right? Well, I mean, that's the fun of Dynasty, right? Is the balance between having those older players who are valuable if you're trying to win now, but if you don't win now, you may get stuck holding the bag on those players and not be able to get the value out of them if you had traded them sooner. It's obviously hard to trade a player in his prime and take a risk on youth because either it goes one of two ways. It's generally not going to leave your team the same. It's either going to drastically improve it or drastically hurt it. But that's the gamble you have to take based on your conviction. And that's what Dynasty is all about.
Right.
That balance. I mean, I've still, CD and Jamar and Jefferson are still fairly young. They just got their second contract, so they've got a while, but it's not long before they're, starting to drop off. But at the same time, they're both in their primes right now, so it's hard to think about moving a player like that.
Right. And even if you wanted to move them, like, you're going to ask for a whole lot for the move, which not everybody is willing to give up. It's like the timing has to be right, and it has to be, you're not going to move them in the off season. You're going to move them mid-season when you're not going to make it, or you don't think you're going to. Someone else is like making that last push. I just don't think that those are the types of people that are just going to be moved like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of Justin Jefferson because I think he's done. He's going to be done in 2 years. Like, you don't really know that.
Never know anything.
But then again, if JJ McCarthy is the quarterback next year, who knows what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson?
Valid. That's funny. Like I told you, Steve stopped by and we were talking, and he was like, I like that he remembered what we said on the podcast after the draft, and I had zero recollection. He's like, "Oh, you guys were right about calling me out on McCarthy over Bo Nix." I'm like, "When did I say that?" He's like, "On the review of my draft picks." I was like, "Oh, I said that? Oh, all right, cool."
Of course he's going to remember his team. We have to remember everybody's team.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, you took McCarthy over Nix? Oh, all right, that didn't work out so well this year." It's okay. Everything else worked out for you just fine, Steve. You're okay.
Right.
So I mean, and as we saw, rankings don't necessarily mean a damn thing. Josh was ranked the worst Dynasty team coming into the season, and he finished second. So who cares?
It doesn't. And this is just one platform that both Aaron and I like, and we understand. We listen to them, and like, it's what they say makes sense, whether they're right or they're wrong. The way that they say things and the way they do things and stuff like that. I like their ranking system. So when you ask for trades from me, and I say no, it's probably because of the Dynasty nerds. I mean, I have a couple of things that I filter through, but it's just a way for us to. We have to have some sort of measuring stick because we're guys, and we like to measure things.
One thing I totally forgot to mention. So Steve came by here. I was like, "Hey, you want to take your trophy? Like, I can pack it up right now, and you can take a box." Well, he said he didn't want to take another box on the plane with him. I said, like, I can ship it to you. Then he looked at it and saw how large it was and how perfectly it sits right here. And he said for me to just keep it for now. Now, I'm going to check with him again on this because I am happy to ship it to him whenever he is ready for it. But there's a chance he wants it to stay here. Now,
that's
don't let that set a precedent.
It can't be there.
Why can't it be there? Where am I supposed to put it?
I don't care. Put it in the
I'm
box.
supposed to move it out?
You're not the champ.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm the champ.
Yes, you are.
No, I changed my name to you can't call me champ.
I'm not going to. You can't.
You
can't display the championship trophy when you're not the champ.
I'm not gonna What you want me to just put it on the ground?
So I was thinking about this because you had told me about this earlier today, and I was like, wait a second. Put it in the box and ship it. It gets to his house. He can keep it in the box, and all he has to do is slap a label on it and ship it away next year. Or keep it. Whatever happens.
It's up to him, dude. I am ready.
Right,
I'm ready to pull it down and ship it.
Fine. You leave it up there. The bet that you lost between you and I'm going to find something that hangs right in front of it, and you have to keep it up there the entire season.
That's pretty valid. I can respect that.
All right.
Well,
often it won't be terrible. It won't be great, but it won't be terrible.
No. I'm not even worried about what you were going to put. I don't want to disrespect the trophy.
But you're disrespecting the trophy by displaying it in a non-championship form.
No, I am respecting it by displaying it prominently where we see it, where the league can see it all the time.
I mean, if the league would listen to us, then we can leave it up to the league.
I was going to say, if you listen to this episode,
give
us an opinion on what you think.
All right. Deal.
You can leave it in a comment. You can
I'm the
text us.
tiebreaker, though.
Okay, that's fine. Like,
right.
Whatever. All right. Okay. What else were we going to talk about? Oh, it's just
got injuries and stuff like that.
Dude, a couple of injuries just to talk about, even though we don't care because we not playing anymore. One thing, David Montgomery is going to be back for the playoffs.
Even if he's 50%, he's going to try and help the team anyway.
But this one I just had to throw out because it was a crazy piece of news I heard earlier today. There are 4 Christians who are fantasy relevant in the NFL, meaning not defensive players, right? Because I think there's a Christian Wilkins on defense. Christian Gonzalez is that DB for the Pats. But there's 4 Christians who are fantasy relevant. Christian McCaffrey, Christian Kirk, Christian Watson, and Chris Olave's actual name is Christian. All 4 of them are ending the season on IR because Christian Watson just tore an ACL. Like, man, apparently Christians are bad luck.
Is that why? Is that mean it's better to be Catholic or Jewish?
I didn't even go there, but that my brain didn't even process that. But yeah, I was just saying someone's name.
Pick a different religion. Pick a different name.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, and ironically, actually, Christian Gonzalez, even though he's not fantasy relevant, he's also hurt. Like, it was a bad year to be a Christian.
Bad year to be a Christian.
NFL. So NFL news, a couple of things, dude. If you didn't see the end of the Tampa Bay game, Mike Evans was, I think, like 5 yards short of hitting 1,000 receiving yards for the 11th year in a row. They had the Saints had the ball. They were driving. There was a turnover, I believe, and the Bucs got the ball back with 45 seconds. They're ready to win the game, take a knee, end the game. They said, no, we're getting Mike Evans this record and whatnot. But if you didn't know, on top of the record, it came with a $3 million bonus. Like, that's a hell of a bonus.
So, to go back even farther, they had a chance, and they gave it, Baker was like, I want to win the game. The number one thing is to win the game, right? And so he passed the ball to Bucky. He dumped it off to Bucky, and he went for a touchdown. The play was supposed to go to Evans, but he was covered, so that scored the touchdown. And then with like 2-something minutes left, the Saints got the ball back.
Yeah,
and then they got the stop, and they're like, "No, we're gonna feed him the ball because he deserves it."
Yeah, 11 years in a row, he's only the second player to ever do it. That's pretty crazy and impressive.
Yeah,
and $3 million is a hell of a bonus,
right?
Tyreek Hill, he had a press conference where he basically implied he wants out of Miami after how this season went. He had half the yardage he had last year. It was an ugly season for the Miami offense. Like, week 1, Tyreek looked good. Then after that, didn't look great for a couple weeks. Then Tua got hurt, and then once Tua came back, all he did was dump it down to Achane and Jonnu Smith. Tyreek's pushing, or is he already 30? He might already be 30. So this was the first time in his career he hadn't made the playoffs. He's not happy. So we'll see if Tyreek is moving on. But yeah, that one's interesting. And then this is the week of, Black Monday after the regular season's over. Coaches getting fired normally. There was already there's already a few mid-season this year. Matt Eberflus for the Bears was already gone. Dennis Allen was already gone. Is there anybody else? I can't remember who else was fired, if there was anybody else in season.
The Jets. What's his name?
Robert Saleh, you're right.
Saleh, yeah.
But the Patriots let Gerard Mayo go after one season, and Robert Kraft came out and addressed it in the media and said, like, he thinks that Mayo will be a good coach, but he threw him in there too soon. He wasn't ready for all the things that come with being a head coach, and it's on Kraft. It was his mistake, but that still sucks.
That's like saying it's not you, it's me. Like,
yeah.
No, it's obviously like he wasn't We knew he wasn't ready. Like, it was a surprise that he was picked up anyways.
Right. Well, I think he was worried that
these old owners that think that they just can run football the way, like, I know Jerry Jones, Kraft,
Jerry Jones
just sit there and make your money and let everybody else do your job for you. Like, there's no reason for you to be in this decision-making process.
Antonio Pierce, after one full season as the quote-unquote permanent coach, because he was the interim the year before, he's let go by the Raiders.
I mean, it was nice. They got some wins with him when he was the interim coach, and then he wants to make everybody happy, and he can't make right decisions.
Yep. Doug Peterson fired from the Jaguars. Can't say that one was a surprise. He was on the hot seat coming into the season, let alone with how bad they ended up this year.
There's too much talent there for them to finish the way that they finished.
I mean, they had a couple injuries, but still, like ETN, fell off the face of the earth this year. Kirk got hurt. Gabe Davis got hurt. Brian Thomas, they got, who looks like a star, but definitely not a good year for them. No. Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, was fired, which isn't shocking considering I think Joe Burrow led the league in passing yards and touchdowns. Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown, and somehow they didn't make the playoffs. Oh, by the way, they also had the league leader in sacks. I don't know how that happened. Yeah. One I forgot to write down here, Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, he was let go after 1 year. You know, he's the one who came out of University of Washington.
Oh, yeah.
And, he was let go already. The Giants have said that they're keeping Dable and Joe Shane, which I don't understand how you keep the guy who gave up Saquon to keep Daniel Jones. But
I would have hired his son, the GM's son, on Hard Knocks. He wanted, he had said whoever he wanted in the draft pick. I think Daniels, was who they were, is what he said.
Oh, was it what he said?
Take somebody, and it's like, he has a better head on his shoulders than his dad does.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
The owner is not getting any sleep.
The Bears had put in a request to interview Mike McCarthy, even though Mike McCarthy has not been let go from the Cowboys. So I don't know how the hell why they thought they were
going to trade for him. I don't.
But now Jerry Jones rejected the request anyways. Right. But it's funny you say that. I've heard rumors of them talking about a bunch of head coach trades now. I know it's possible, but it's so rarely been done.
Gruden was the last one.
Peyton.
Oh, did Peyton go to Denver because of a trade?
Yeah, because he had left the Saints and then went into media, he was still under contract. So when he was coming out to coach again, the Broncos had to send, I think they sent a pick or two to New Orleans for it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I heard Gruden might be back coaching. I heard there's a rumor about that, even though he's got a lawsuit against the NFL. But
I don't see that one happening. I think that bridge is burned. Steve and I were looking at. We were reading off some of the news and some of the prospective hires in some places. It sounds like, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Lions, is one of the hot commodities. Bobby Slowick last year was a hot commodity from Houston, and now nobody wants him because their offense didn't look great this year. And, but yeah. All right, well, I just realized we're about to run out of time, so we better call it a night. Cheers, Drew.
Cheers. Here's to a good season.
Yeah, it was a fun season. We'll do it again. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.
See ya.